tape is rolling. Wait for speed. Speed.
Well, Jason, Bret, it's nice to have a chance to talk with you. We don't always get to talk to the producers, and I find if you want the real skinny, you have to talk, as we say, the real skinny. You have to talk to the producers. It looks like you have a hit on your hands, really, from all the...
Thank you.
Yeah, I think young adults particularly are really going to identify with the characters in the story, and it's so well written and everything. Of course, based on the play, which you guys produced.
Yes.
And now that was in '79.
At our theater in Chicago, we did one of the productions of it, not the New York production. In 1979, we produced it at our theater in Chicago called the Apollo Theater Center. And Jim Belushi starred as Bernie Litko in the play, which he then recreates in the film.
And I read someplace where you said after 6 years of obstacles, you finally got this thing on film. What are some of the obstacles?
Predominantly, it is the mechanism of corporate movie making that is Hollywood of today. It's an extremely structured environment in which to work. It tries to mix commerce and art, and our picture specifically does not employ the use of pyrotechnics or car chases or crashes or gunshots. It's about the special effects of emotions, and that to make the leap of faith from the page to the screen and employ the use of millions of dollars to do that is a formidable decision for a studio to make, one that they only make after spending an enormous amount of time understanding the material through the process of developing it over and over and over again, often reinventing the wheel, and ultimately gaining trust in the filmmakers to realize that vision that they now have finally come to understand.
We have a unique situation also in that we have an extremely literate piece of material, and it's a piece of material that can only be executed through direction and actors. And we have a first-time feature director, 2 first-time feature producers, first-time feature screenwriters, first-time feature cinematographer. And although everybody's very experienced in a lot of other fields, and I think the film looks like a film that's made by people that know what they're doing, the leap of faith to support that kind of group is a little greater than it is to, say, give Sidney Pollack the money to go make a movie. I also think the passion that we showed as a group in making this picture became infectious, and the studio couldn't help but join on the team and give us the support that we needed.
Did the studio, were they the people who insisted on a different ending?
No, actually, we wanted an ending like that from the very beginning. The play, this movie is different from the play. The play was a scathing, cynical, but brilliant look at the sexual politics and the singles environment during the 70s. And the play was about the relationship primarily between the Bernie Litko character played by Jim Belushi in our movie and the Rob Lowe character that's named Danny Martin in our movie. In the play, it was about their relationship. In the center of that play, that brilliant play by David Mamet,
that one-act
play by David Mamet, which uses language in a way that we haven't heard language used before, creates a poetic, sometimes vulgar symphony of jazz-like dialogue rhythms. There was a love story in the very center of that is doomed from the beginning by virtue of the play that Mr. Mamet wrote. What we wanted to do was to write a love story that takes place in the same environment. We took the characters from the play, those very rich, well-textured characters, and we placed them in the same environment, but we explored the environment and those characters through the mechanism of a romance that was alluded to in Mr. Mamet's play.
We kind of left Bernie and Danny's relationship the same,
exactly,
and Debbie and Joan's relationship the same, but just built this little seed of a relationship between Danny and Debbie that David just didn't write. And we really made that the center of our movie, and it gave us a structure that made a feature film, whereas the one-act play did not add up to a feature film. And as a result of that, as the audience watching the machinations of this relationship playing itself out with all the pain and the joy and the complications of building a life with someone, after it fails and Danny has realized why and how much he really did love her, it was inevitable that being people in their mid-20s, there's a hopefulness that they can have another shot at it. And therefore the ending was consistent with the movie we built, even though it wasn't the play. But I don't think this movie is the play. It borrows from the play, it adapted itself from the play, but David's play is brilliant and stands on its own, and this movie hopefully is just a movie that will be judged on its own terms.
What is David Mamet going to say when he sees it?
What did Jim Belushi say about David Mamet today? He made a joke about it. You just never know what David Mamet's going to say, so you don't try to guess.
He is perhaps the most brilliant wordsmith writing today. And as such, I wouldn't even pretend to be able to capture the essence of what he might
we'd never
respond.
want to. I mean, if it was his play, we'd never want to alter his play because his play stands unto itself. When someone takes their play and sells it to movies, what they do essentially is say, "I accept the fact that the filmmakers need to do what they need to do to build a movie out of this." As a rule, David would probably prefer his own words to somebody else's words. So who
I would
knows
hope
what
he would be
think.
proud of the truthfulness and the honesty and the integrity with which we approached the story we wanted to make.
Okay, well, if I ever have a chance to interview David Mamet, I'll tell you what he says.
Well, we'd be curious to know.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Nice talking with you
Nice
both.
talking
Thank
with
you.
you as well.
Thanks.
It's like Dan Jenkins, who's a good friend of mine, after Semi-Tough, you know, and he says, you just take the money and run, that's all. He said, you don't get upset, you just take the money and
That's
run. What were some of the obstacles you encountered during the 6 years it took to bring this to the screen?
Make sure, just go tell him we're still doing this, even though he's out there, so that they don't hear it. She's going to use these.
Okay. Was it the studio that wanted a different ending from the play's ending? What do you think playwright David Mamet is going to say when he sees the movie? Okay, now just some reactions.
Okay. You want fairly tight or just?
No, they're just the way they are.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.